And I'd like to call this meeting to order for the City University Construction Fund. I'm glad everybody could be here on this very wonderful day. This is a cool room, so if we want to stay here all day, it's fine with me. But I don't think we're going to have an agenda that would carry us that long. There are some new people in the room here, or they're not.
Yes.
Iris, and maybe we ought to just, just so that the new people know others, why don't we just go around the room so that everybody, and also we have new people in Albany, so why don't we just start, Nancy, why don't we start with you?
I'm Nancy Nichols, the assistant to the fund.
John Antonelli, Director of Financial Compliance.
Mike Fabulous, Dormitory Authority, State of New York.
I'm Bob Lemieux, Executive Director of Design and Construction at CUNY.
Hi, Judy Burke, I'm Deputy Manager.
Howard Altshuler, Deputy Executive Director of the Fund.
Jane Sauer, Deputy General Counsel. I'm here for Rick Schaefer. I'm Iris Fleischbaum, the Executive Director of the fund.
Philip Berry, acting chair of the fund.
Wellington Chen, trustee.
Wait, before you go that way.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm Kate Conway. I'm faculty from Berlin Manhattan Community College. I'm a new member of the UFSCJ.
I'm Noel Henkin, I'm a trustee.
Marcella Maxwell, I'm a trustee.
Wendy Perlman, Director of Capital Budget Q.
Don Farley, Assistant to the Vice Chancellor.
Jeffrey Weinstein, Director of Procurement Services for CUNY.
Victor Nair, Controller for the fund.
And in Albany?
I'm Andrew Yola, Division of Budget. Zach Dartelli, Division of Budget.
Good. Thank you very much, and welcome again to everybody. What I'd like to do first is note that we do have a quorum for conducting our business, and I'd like to get the approval of the minutes from the January 20th meeting. First of all, are there any amendments to the minutes? Hearing none, is there any discussion about the minutes? Hearing none, I'd like to ask a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed, abstentions? It passes. Thank you very much. The first order of business, which will be item number 2 in your tabs, is the resolution authorizing the acceptance of construction funding from the Hunter College Foundation for the reconstruction of the 3rd floor of the Wexler Library at Hunter's East 68th Street campus. I'll read the resolution first, and then we'll get more explanation on it. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the City University Construction Fund authorizes the Executive Director to execute a contract with the Hunter College Foundation to accept construction funding from the foundation of all of the funds, presenting in the amount of $2.2 million and any contributions on the same terms necessary to cover all of the costs associated with the construction and related services in the renovation of the 3rd floor of the Wexler Library at Hunter College.
Mr. Chairman, the Hunter Library was built over 30 years ago when the then new campus was built. It is a very large library. It's about over 150,000 square feet, and it spans 9 floors in that building. The library has become inefficient and overcrowded as the enrollment has grown at Hunter. And Hunter would like to create a more welcoming entrance to the library and a more efficient space so the students and the faculty can more effectively use the library. Let me just say that this will be done in phases. This is just phase 1 of this project. The college has plans to renovate other floors in the library, but that they were able to receive a gift for this portion of the work. And in order for CUCF to proceed with the work, we need to receive that gift to be able to pay for the construction of the redesign of the library.
At some point, well, we'll entertain any other discussion, but my question is, at some point, of course, we'll see the construction plans.
Yes.
And all of that.
Yeah, those documents are currently at about 60% state of design, so we'll certainly bring the documents, plans.
Well, we need to receive the money so that we can start to pay the architect as well as to go out and to bid the work.
We need to have the money in place so that our construction manager can basically start putting the program together to put it on the street floor and do the pre-construction reviews.
And I guess at some time, I mean, I'm sure that there'll be room for more computers and digital
Yeah,
type
and
of equipment there.
if anyone's been to Hunter, to their library, you'll see that there isn't a lot of space. You know, students now don't necessarily just use libraries to take out books and to, they use it as a study space. And, I know that the college would like to create, more space for students to go into the library, to study, to maybe work in groups. It's not just any longer you go to the library, you look at a book, and you take out a book. It's more of a space for students to use the student space. So, the college has a vision, and we are just trying to help them get through the first phase. And let me just say that, as I said, that the college did get a gift, and they are very eager to, because of the donor, to put this gift to work, and we're more than happy to help them out.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
You mentioned the entrance, but this has nothing to do with the entrance, right?
Not the entrance to the college, the entrance to the library. The work that will be done will be on the third floor, which is the main entrance to the library. And then, as I noted, there are other floors that I know President Rabb has definite plans to renovate, to bring up to a more modern form of library that can be used by the students and the faculty.
Thank you. Yes.
I move that we-
You move it?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. Thank you very much. Item tab number 3 is the resolution authorizing the acceptance of a gift from Brooklyn College Foundation for the construction of the Performing Arts Center at Brooklyn College. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the CUCF authorizes the Executive Director to accept a gift from the Brooklyn College Foundation of $10.8 million and any future contributions on the same terms for associated costs with the construction phase of the Performing Arts Center at Brooklyn College.
Brooklyn College will be constructing a new performing arts center where Gershwin Hall currently sits. The university and the college was very fortunate. We got a very generous gift from Claire and Leonard Tao. And as a matter of fact, the new performing arts center will be named for them because the gift was quite substantial. This is one of those projects that the CUCF will be overseeing. We will be, even though we enjoy Jasmine's work and we have a good relationship, as this board knows, we are taking on more and more work. About a month ago, we had the groundbreaking for this project, and now that we're moving into the construction phase, like with the library project at Hunter, we need to be able to get the cash into CUCF so that we can start to spend the money and start to build the new project. This is an $85 million project, of which there was a gift from Claire and Leonard Tao of $15 million. There's $10.8 million left in the gift, and that will be transferred over to CUCF. We are currently analyzing the demolition contracts that we have gotten, and I believe Jeff soon will be able to make an award to a demolition company, and we will, over the summer, demolish Gershwin Hall, and then we will start the construction of the new site. Bob, I don't know if you want to add anything else?
We're proceeding on track. I mean, basically, the first bid packages, we've got the bidders, we're vetting the bidder that we'll award to. We will bid the second stage of things at the end of the month, and we're on the road to make this happen. This is the first major project that CUCF is undertaking without
From
Dasney.
beginning to end.
Beginning to end.
Who is the
And I just-
demolition company?
I can't say publicly.
We haven't awarded it yet.
We haven't awarded it
Because I
yet.
know Miss Williams does that, but I don't know if she's that big. Dolly Williams.
We got a number of bids and we're vetting them now, which is something that we customarily do.
Right.
And we hope by at least next week to make an award.
But this won't put Marty Markowitz out of business, will it?
No, this will not be.
Marty has to be there.
Marty Markowitz has more than enough venues in Brooklyn to hold his concerts.
The other thing I just wanted to add is that The rest of the gift we got from the towns went to pay for the architect to do the design. So, I mean, this is the remaining amount of the gift.
Right.
It's going into the construction, so basically,
So the architectural piece, we didn't have to vote on that?
I think it was voted on
No,
probably.
no,
No.
it was not, because the architect was selected by the Brooklyn College Foundation.
Oh,
It
We
wasn't
were
our
part-
contract.
Yeah, they hold that contract. We were part of the selection committee, but it was done by the foundation, which is customary, Noel. We encourage foundations, you know, where they have money and where they have gifts to be able to do this. But we always sit on those committees, and we are a part of the discussion
That's
as to which
important.
architect. And
That
let me
was
just
my
say-
question.
Let me just say that Norman Pfeiffer was picked as the architect, and it is a California firm, and both Bob and I were a little taken aback initially. We said, why are we hiring a California firm to design a performing arts center? There's so many architecture firms here in New York. And a couple of years ago, we went out and we visited with Norman Pfeiffer. He's world-renowned in terms of building performing
what
arts
is
centers.
his name?
His name is Norman Pfeiffer.
Oh, Pfeiffer, I thought,
Yeah,
I think he was at side school.
No.
And just, he had two other partners
Oh.
in New York. Hardy Holtzman and Pfeiffer was the name of the firm. They did a lot of work in New York City in the late '70s, '80s.
So
But-
he's familiar with
Yeah,
working in New York?
yeah, and he actually still has a residence in Manhattan here. But his primary practice now is out of California, as I
And
recall.
it's primarily performing arts centers. Bob and I were very pleased with what we saw and his staff out there in California. We visited 3 or 4 performing arts centers, a couple which were associated with universities out there, and they were pretty spectacular. So we believe that both the university and the college selected the right architect for this project. And just one last point, for those who know about the campus, Gershwin Hall is the gateway to the campus. And when you look at the current building, it basically has its backside to the entrance of the campus, which is really not a very
That's right.
inviting or warm introduction to the
walk
campus.
around at the
Right.
beginning.
So, not only was Pfeiffer able to construct what we believe will be a really spectacular performing arts center, they have redefined the entrance basically the gateway to the campus. So,
I must say that the campus is more and more beautiful every day,
It
and
is.
this will enhance it.
absolutely.
Another dimension.
Yes, with the balance of the 5 million, after you spend the gift, has that money been set aside?
It's been appropriated, and the answer is that yes, and we've gotten from DOB an 1184 approval to proceed with this project. So, and the money is in our spending plan, so we're A-okay. We're ready to move on this project.
Does this board need to communicate to the towns to update them on what's happening? How does that happen?
We will, and I have to say that Mr. Tao is intimately involved with the project, and I know that the campus is meeting with him on a monthly basis about this project, but we will also be giving him construction updates in terms of our progress, when we think we'll complete the project, are we on budget, are we on time?
Yeah, I think that's essential, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, that's great. It's a good project.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Can we have a
I move we accept this
Second.
project.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you very much. Item number 4 is the resolution authorizing a construction contract for a transportation hub enclosure for the College of Staten Island. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of CUCF authorizes the Executive Director to execute a construction contract for a transportation hub enclosure for the College of Staten Island. The total cost of the project shall be chargeable to the State Capital Construction Fund and for an amount not to exceed $350,000, and the contract shall be subject to approval as to form by the fund's general counsel. Executive Director.
The College of Staten Island, for those who have been there, is in the center of Staten Island. And it is a very large campus. It's probably acreage, our biggest campus, over 240 acres for the College of Staten Island. People, students, faculty, they can get to the campus one of 2 ways. They can drive, which, you know, we would like to discourage, not encourage, or they can take mass transit. There are a number of bus lines that go past the campus and drop people off. And to be more encouraging and more inviting of the folks out there taking mass transit, we need a larger area for people to wait for the bus, both in inclement weather, and just to have an ability to sort of congregate in a more rational way.
Because right now it's all open.
It's all open, and so President Morales has made it a priority of his to make it more accessible, to make it more green, and to encourage more and more people to take mass transit. I might point out also that he now runs a shuttle for the college, from the college to the Staten Island Ferry, so that folks who are coming from the other boroughs can now easily get to the campus by ferry and by shuttle. And I just want to point out that the shuttle that they use is an electric bus, which they plug into overnight at the ferry terminal. So he's trying different things to get folks to get out of their cars, and we are very encouraging of this project. Yeah, we're in every type of business here.
Thought it was awful, wasn't it? Any other questions? Can we have a motion there for two, please?
So moved.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Thank you very much. Item number 4 is a resolution authorizing, 5, authorizing thank you, resolution authorizing a consulting contract for the design and installation of outdoor artwork at the Performing Arts Center at Brooklyn College. And so resolved that the Board of Trustees of CUCF authorizes the Executive Director to execute a consulting contract with the Spencer Finch Studio for design and installation of outdoor artwork as required for the Performing Arts Center at Brooklyn College. The contract cost shall be chargeable to donor funds to be provided by the Brooklyn College Foundation for an amount not to exceed $300,000. And the contract shall be subject to approval as to form by the fund's general counsel. Executive Director, can you tell us how this ties in?
Okay, well, originally, when we were gonna do the Performing Arts Center at Brooklyn College, there is a expansive area between Gershwin and Whitman. And originally, the new Performing Arts Center was supposed to be built in this area. And it became clear to us early on in our process with the project that there was a major sewer line
16-foot double barrel sewer underneath that.
that went over that.
Goes right
that
down the
space.
middle of it.
Really?
And
Double barrel.
for those who have dealt with the Department of Environmental Protection in the past, and Bob and I both worked there, it is almost impossible to build over this type of sewer line, because DEP, if they can't have access, then you're responsible for the sewer line, which would be an enormous risk for the university to take. So, and as I said, the project evolved because we realized that, you know, Gershwin really was not a great architectural treasure to keep. It was an old building, and as I said, its back was to the entrance of the campus. And so we moved the site, and we said we're gonna now demolish Gershwin and build a new Performing Arts Center. That left us with a large area between Gershwin and Whitman, which was very uninviting, and really did not serve as sort of an open space and a place for students and faculty and the community to really enjoy the campus. And so as part of this project, the college and the Brooklyn College Fund decided that they wanted to make a statement, that they wanted to have some type of public art element to this project. And again, the college and the Brooklyn College Fund, as well as people from Bob's staff, sat on a committee to select an artist. And this is the selection that they made, and it will be part of the new project that we do. Of course, it'll be the last phase of it, but nonetheless, the artists will begin to work on the project.
And maybe, Bob, the distinguishing competency of this Spencer Finch was, what led you to
You know,
select?
I wasn't on the committees.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, this really was, there was, my architect who was responsible for that group with Brooklyn College and their foundation people. I mean, there were like a lot of proposals, and they basically probably had 15 or 20. They wintered it down to 4 or 5, interviewed them, and selected them based upon the presentation they made and their concept. And I don't know, but we will find out and bring to you what that concept is in terms of the art as it evolves. So.
By the way, also, you know, Brooklyn College is a very active arts program, not just in theater and music, but, you know, in art itself. And I know that there were people from that department on this committee from the college.
So Spencer Finch is.
Is the artist.
Is the artist?
Yes.
I see.
And when you say as required, is there any mandatory requirement to do this artwork?
No, there's no mandatory requirement, but we and the college felt
It's
that.
interesting. On city-funded projects,
you are required
there
to-
is,
that's what I was
there
asking.
is a
Art.
requirement that funds get be, and it's frankly a good idea. The same requirement does not exist necessarily on state-funded projects. This is being funded through the foundation, through the gifts that they've received for the project, so.
We all believe, though, both the college and ourselves here at CUCF, that this will just enhance the space, both of Whitman and now the new Tao Center. It's an area that we would like to encourage students and faculty and the community to sort of hang out, to enjoy the campus, and to have just, right now, it's just concrete. And so as part of the main project, we'll be doing some landscaping work as well as adding this art.
So it's one piece of art.
One piece of art,
Yeah,
yes.
it's probably gonna be a sculpture or something like that in that area, which will make it, you know, a much more attractive place to be with the landscaping. So.
I don't want to micromanage the art, but I guess somebody will be looking at this to make sure that it's appropriate,
Yes.
that it fits, you know, with the artistic array and ambience of the area or something.
Yes,
I mean,
you can be sure of that.
Not to worry about that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good.
People in the scribe who participated, I'm sure they'll get on that.
Good, okay, good, I'm comforted. Is there a motion to approve?
So
Someone is, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, thank you very much. Item number 6 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a construction contract to renovate the Student Life Building at Lehman College. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of CUCF authorizes the Executive Director to execute a construction contract related to the renovation of the Student Life Building at Lehman College. The contract shall be awarded to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder after public advertisement and sealed bidding pursuant to law and CUCF procurement guidelines. The total cost, contract cost is $1.9,950,000 is being transferred into CUCF from Lehman College Student Activities Fund. And the contract shall be subject to approval as performed by the fund's general counsel. So 950, it's gonna come from the activities fund?
Yes.
Activities fees, that's right.
Lehman College is very eager to renovate its Student Life Building. There are a number of issues confronting the buildings, not very sexy, but nonetheless goes to the operation of the building. Issues about operating doors and air conditioning and really coming up with new code compliant stairs. Working with the college, we knew that we had a certain amount of state of good repair money, and then the college came up with the rest of the funds.
That's from student fees?
Yes, and I have to tell you, the college is to be applauded. They recognize that, you know, Lehman is very much a commuter school, and they really want to make their Student Life Building something that students can avail themselves of and be welcoming and warming to them.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Any other questions? Is there a motion? Is there a second to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, thank you very much. Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing architectural design services requirement contract, and resolved that the fund approve and authorize up to 51 requirement contracts, and a listing, it should be attached here,
Yes,
of
there
the awards, and that would be used on an as-needed basis for architectural design services, including architectural design services, building envelope design services, high-performance design services, historic preservation design services, landscape design services, and signage and interpretation design services. So it's quite a bit. It's a pretty good.
This item, a number of years ago, many of the colleges came to us and were complaining, rightfully so, that whether it was a small project they were trying to do or a big project that they were trying to do, it took the same amount of time. The reason for that is that the biggest chunk of time was being taken up at the beginning of the process as well as the end to get the project done, but in order to procure the services that the individual campuses needed. And so it became clear that what we needed is we needed to have requirements contracts that not only we here at CUCF could call upon, but that the colleges could call upon as well. Because they often have some small projects that they do on their own. They don't necessarily do it through CUCF or through CUNY. And so we put out a very big proposal, and I want to really thank my staff. We got back 197.
Almost 200.
200.
Almost 200.
Well, maybe you want to describe what we.
Yeah, we set up, when we did this RFP, we basically received approximately 196 to 200 proposals. I mean, frankly, the boxes of proposals just about filled up a room this size. And we set up a committee, each of my assistant directors, each of whom is an architect. I was on the committee, John was on the committee, and we basically went through, each of us went through those 200 proposals and vetted it down, and then after a number of meetings, we basically selected in each of these categories what we thought was the appropriate number of firms for the amount of work that we see coming over the next 3 or 4 years. Our process will be, we've now basically vetted this list. To the extent that we identify a project, we will select the 2 or 3 or 4 most competent firms that we think can do this, and we will ask them for a mini proposal, effectively their fee, their staffing, and their approach to the project. This will cut the amount of time necessary to select a consultant from about 3 to 4 months to maybe 3 to 4 weeks. So this will basically accelerate our process greatly.
So you do all this work in advance
Yes.
of the
That's
need
exact,
for the project.
that was the intent of this whole thing, to basically put all, government's a lot about paperwork, so we put the process in front of us to allow us to go through with a lot of selection going forward. So we'll be good for 3 years, 2 or 3 years on these contracts, and we'll see how we work out. We think we've got a very good number of architects. We've also worked with DASNY to effectuate a process whereby if we hire the design consultant, but DASNY will manage the construction, we will involve them at the design phase and through the reviews so that we can hand it over to them and just go straight through construction, regardless of whether we're doing it at CUCF or DASNY's going to be doing it. So we've got that process worked out. So we're really ready to get going on these. And we have gotten a lot of state of good repair money from state DOB. There are a lot of projects that are in the $2 to $3 million range for construction that it would basically kill us if we had to go through a consultant selection process, elongated, for every of those projects. We wouldn't be able to do them. So this will basically enable us to get a lot of these things going and really start to generate a significant number of projects on all the campuses.
What percentage of these firms would be either W or MBE enterprise? I mean, what's the involvement in terms of, from that particular sector here?
My sense is probably about one-fifth of these firms are New York State certified M or WBEs, but all of the firms are subject to the overall CUCF and university goals for MWB participation. So as we issue each task order for a particular project, they're going to have to submit a plan that will show how they're going to meet those goals, task order by task order.
Does this have an expiration date?
3 years.
2 years, 3 years?
Three.
3 years.
So-
You should know this is actually our second round of architectural
We've done this
design.
before.
Yes.
Yes, and
It wasn't as,
Comprehensive.
detailed
Right.
as this was.
the first group was only about 6
Oh, I
firms.
see. So this is a bigger bite.
Well-
And you may remember a few months ago, we took to the board a similar group of requirements contracts for engineering services. So this will now give us a full complement of architectural and engineering service requirements contracts.
We're getting better at it each time. You know, we realized that we needed to more narrowly define the scope of services we were trying to seek out. So whether it be landscaping or signage, we now know that there are individual firms that we can go to for these expertise.
Speaking of signage, did we change the name? Is it the signage and interpretation design services? Is that called wayfinding?
Wayfinding could be a part of that.
Right.
I mean, but not, I mean, signage does lots of things. Wayfinding is very discrete, but if we're doing a campus, or if we're doing something on a project and we just want to just brand it, or without having wayfinding directing people to and fro,
Mhm.
it would be covered under the same kind of architectural services.
So, you said that, 20% of these firms are
Approximately.
Are we satisfied with that? Or, you know, do we feel, okay, that's good, we did our best efforts, or do we feel that we should engage in other efforts to increase
I think
the participation? Or?
It's much better than where we are now. And it's also buoyed by the fact that whether or not the firm is a certified firm, it's still responsible for making a good faith effort to meet the established goals. And that can add some force at the task order level.
Could we get a breakout of, you know, the different categories?
It's actually attached.
It's attached to it.
Did you see the back,
The-
across the
In terms
top,
of
The chart that's
landscape,
in your hand.
It's attached to it.
various categories are.
No, not those categories.
Which
Oh, you want the-
Women.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure, no
Sure.
problem.
Other minorities?
Yes.
I thought you were talking about the island board.
Sorry.
We will make sure that all the board members get that.
The 20% doesn't tell me enough.
Right.
Could you maybe also include of the original 196, 200 proposals, what proportion were W and?
Excuse me, but you are not a member of the board. You
Oh,
are
I'm not allowed
actually,
to ask
you're an
that? I
observer.
apologize. Sorry, thank you. Know my limits.
It's a good question, though.
You can ask.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we need, I really care about the bottom line primarily. That's, you know.
We will get that to the board members.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion from the board? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Is there a second? All in favor? Opposed, abstentions? Thank you very much. The next is going to be item number 8, which is a resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of a fire alarm system and related work in the Student Center building at Bronx Community College. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Construction Fund authorizes the Executive Director to execute a purchase order with the firm of Fire Systems, Inc. For the purchase of services and equipment to design and install the Student Center building fire alarm system at Bronx Community College under existing New York State Office of General Services contract. The contract shall be 50% chargeable to the State Capital Construction Fund and 50% chargeable to city funds, DASNY for an amount, DASNY project for an amount not to exceed $368,000. So Fire Assist, that's the name of the company?
Yeah, this is one of the firms on the New York State OGS contract. It's the first time that we've used them. We've been trying to get more competition because it's usually Johnson Controls, it's Siemens, it's Honeywell, and this is a new player who's kind of basically forced them to sharpen their pencil a little bit. So.
And the bottom line, Mr. Chairman, is that this building is not compliant with the current New York City building codes,
So we
and
have
we
to
must
do
do
it.
this. This is a state of good repair project.
When we have a situation like this where you have to address the problem, is there typically one solution, or are there options for satisfying the requirements in different price ranges?
you have to meet the codes. I mean, whatever the codes are, they come in.
And they're pretty
The
specific.
requ- the contracts, the contracts with this, of the OGS contract require the firm to come in, do the design, do the scope, do the design, provide the components, and do the installation. So it's one-stop shopping. My staff reviews that throughout the process. I have engineers that basically deal with all the fire alarm systems. So we watch what they're doing. We don't, no embellishment, but we do what we have to do. So,
Right. So you make sure it's an efficient
Yes.
solution.
That's correct.
To meet code.
Right.
That was my question. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve?
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? So number 9 is a resolution authorizing a consulting contract for design and design services during the construction of a building-wide HVAC and control project, the Class NYC at BMCC. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Construction Fund authorizes the Dormitory Authority to enter into contract with the firm of Genesis Engineering PC to design energy-efficient upgrades at the Borough Manhattan Community College, and the contract shall be chargeable to matching fund Class NYC and state funds for an amount not to exceed $850,000.
The BMCC campus was completed in 1983, and at the time that it was completed, I don't think that anybody anticipated the amount of students that were going to flow through BMCC. It now has about 22,000 students at PEs that are at the campus 7 days
No
a
idea.
week. Clearly, the campus at 199 Chambers Street, the HVAC system cannot really service that amount of people. And so it is really essential that we upgrade the HVAC system.
Especially on a day like this.
Exactly.
and it's totally inefficient in terms of energy consumption.
really?
Totally
BMCC
inefficient.
is the most inefficient building. 199 Chambers is the most inefficient and consumes the most amount of power of any structure, of any of our 294 buildings that we have. As I think this board knows, the university is part of the mayor's Plan NYC program to be more green, more efficient when it comes to energy. And this project will really comply with that program now, and this will be a green, efficient HVAC system at BMCC.
So does this system include heating as well?
It's
Yes.
air conditioning
Everything.
and heating, it's everything, yes.
Does the current system use number 6 oil or one of those
I have
toxic
no
oils?
idea.
It's,
You guys know?
There was
it's
an
Con Ed
article in-
it's Con Ed steam is the source of power for
For the heat.
They don't have boilers.
Because there's no central plant, right?
Right, it's Con Ed steam
Steam.
is used
I
for
see.
the energy source.
Yeah, it's all steam on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal about, probably saw that, a number of buildings in the city using oil, the high numbers.
Number 6.
Yeah.
Number 6 oil, which has to be preheated before it can be actually burned, so and it's
Yeah.
very inefficient. That's
A lot
why,
of-
when you see buildings with a puff of black smoke and they've just turned on their boiler and it's not preheated properly and it just black smoke billows out.
And those folks who live in, a lot of them are in tenements and poor housing, low-income housing, where they don't have the money to upgrade. But they showed a map and very heavy concentration in my neighborhood.
Mine too.
Yeah, you know, all over Manhattan.
Yeah.
You know, heavily in Manhattan. I was surprised to see that. So I hope our campuses aren't burning number 6.
Well,
No.
I will say
Some
that,
are.
you know,
Some are.
as we are adding new buildings to many of our campuses, you know, Bob and the staff have to go through all the energy plans. And, you know, some of the campuses have central plants, you know, some of them were like any other building on the street grid. And it's given us an opportunity to really look at all the HVAC and energy-related projects that we have on our campuses. And the last point is, that's why the state of good repair money is so important. Because many of the projects that we're doing now, in terms of HVAC and energy projects, are coming from state of good repair.
And in many instances, the payback is like on this project. The reason that the city put its money up. This project does two things. It really cuts down on CO2 emissions, but it also saves enough money in terms of energy costs to pay for itself in about 7 years. So, I mean, especially on the community college where the city's plan, the OMB perspective on the city's plan is it's got to save money, and it does through energy. So every time we look at a campus, the first thing we have to do is an energy study to identify what the potential savings are in terms of energy usage, and to the extent that we save it, there are ways of getting city money from Plan NYC, whatever, to basically advance these projects. And we're doing several other community colleges now in the same way.
Because that was pretty.
New York City Tech, we basically built a new boiler chiller plant in the basement of that building to come off of Con Ed steam, or city steam actually. City steam, but I mean basically the payback from the investment will pay itself back in about 7 years. I mean, it's a whole new plant. It's like a $60 million project.
The amazing part of that project at New York City Tech, we never shut the building down. We just built a new plant in the base of the building, and
because we continue to get steam from the courthouse across the street to provide the heat. And, you know.
Well, this is a great project. This is what I call a sexy project.
Any other discussion or motion?
I move to approve.
Just a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you very much. It carries. Item number 10 is a resolution authorizing a Hunter College Weill Cornell Medical Center letter of intent, number 2106. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Construction Fund authorize the Executive Director to enter into a letter of intent with Cornell University, which I'll call the Cornell Medical College, or an affiliate of Cornell or WCMC, for the acquisition, development, construction, fit-out, equipping, and furnishing of a commercial condo unit in a condominium to be formed at 413 East 69th Street in New York, Manhattan, New York, for Hunter College's medical research programs, and authorize the Executive Director to execute the LOI, that's a letter of intent, and the LOI shall be subject to approval by the General Counsel. So we're doing this because...
Well, I guess we are ever in search of space to build a new science building for Hunter. And as I think this board can recognize, to be able to find space to build a 350,000 square foot building on the Upper East Side is quite a challenge for, not only for CUNY, but probably any other entity up there. And to be honest with this board, probably 15 years ago, CUNY should have been assembling sites for Hunter, but no one, I don't think, could have foreseen, you know, the value and what was happening on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. We have tried to accommodate Hunter's science needs in a number of ways. Number one, first and foremost, was the new School of Social Work and Public Health, which is opening in September. So we were able to accommodate the public health element of the Hunter program. We were approached by Weill Cornell because they are building this research science building on East 69th Street. It's a 14-story building, state-of-the-art research science. And like all institutions, you know, Weill Cornell has monetary issues, and they needed some partners to help them complete this project. But more importantly, for Hunter and for CUNY, it would give us an ability to have not only the state-of-the-art science space for our researchers, but there would be now an affiliation with Weill Cornell, which is very helpful to Hunter and very helpful to Weill Cornell.
So it'd be shared space.
It's going to be shared space. Well, we're going to own our condominium unit. Our researchers will work on that floor, but there will be shared vivarium space. There'll be shared common space, lounges. We would be purchasing approximately 21,000 square feet of the building. It would be a condominium interest, and we would be paying what we believe is comparable to what it's costing us now to build science throughout the city, both at ASRC, at Lehman. We have gone through the numbers, and we feel confident that whether we were building it or Weill Cornell, this is an adequate price for the space that we will be purchasing.
Are we the only outside tenant?
For now, we are. You know, maybe maybe Weill Cornell will feel this is a good way to go, because quite frankly, they cannot, fit out all the floors, because they don't have the money to do it. Maybe they'll try and seek other affiliations with other institutions. We wouldn't be adverse to that. We think that that would be a good thing for the city and a good thing for higher education entities like ourselves and Weill Cornell to have this partnership.
It really does, it's a great integration of some of our scientists with some of the Cornell scientists in the building. It's an entirely research facility. And at this point in time, they were going to fit out, they're going to build a whole building, but they were going to have shelf space for 4 floors. We're taking one of those floors and we're basically occupying that. But the interactions in a building, I mean, you never can tell when you're going to bump into someone and have an idea. And I think that collaboration, that ability for interactions is significant for both entities. So, I mean, you know, there are major things here, because we have some excellent scientists at Hunter.
That's what Kevin Roach did with the Union Carbide building. The old
Will we have visibility in the signage?
Yes, the answer is yes, and, you know, we will have signage on the outside of the building as well as in the lobby, and we will have our own floor, our own reception area, so, and I have to say that, you know, Weill Cornell is quite enthusiastic about having CUNY and Hunter in the building. They view it as a win-win for everybody, and,
I mean, beyond the finances?
Beyond the finances, they, as Bob said, they very much are encouraging of the affiliation between the scientists. And in terms of going after and capturing NIH grants, they feel that this partnership will just enhance both institutions.
So who's gonna build that floor then?
They will build it out first. It's gonna be a turnkey operation.
So we give them specs and they...
Well, they gave us the specs, and quite frankly, it's just as we're building ASRC, it's the same concept. Where you have this, you know, open space planning, and you have scientists who don't have their own little labs anymore, but everybody works together in an open space. So, Bob's architects and engineers have
we reviewed it.
plans.
The building itself was designed by Paul Shackwell, currently ENIAD. They've done buildings for us. They were the people that did MedGrevers. They're doing some other things for us now.
For the science technology building at MedGrevers?
Yeah, they were the architects. Yeah.
The building at MedGrevers is more than 50% science.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And they're working, ENIAD is doing our new building out at York. They're designing that as well. ENIAD did the Roosevelt House, and they were selected by the City College Foundation. They have designed the Colin Powell Center at City College. So they've done a lot of work.
Good firm, very good firm. And it's a very nicely designed building, and it's open plan laboratories. And Hunter will probably be able to put 8 or 9 researchers on the floor, and with graduate students and what have you. But it's all open plan, and it's state-of-the-art science in today's world. I mean, and our costs they're effectively going to build out the whole thing. We're going to go through all of their costs, but they're charging us for our percentage of the condominium. I mean, that's the way it's working out.
And when would it be finished?
We'll be able to take possession in 2014.
Yeah,
2014.
Yes.
Right now they're doing the foundation superstructure.
They are, you know, as I said, they don't have all the money, and they are, you know, it's expensive building, and they're, you know, and from our perspective, it's fine, because, you know, as our friends at DOB know, we have a spending plan that we have to adhere to, and the money falls out correctly for us within that spending plan.
Is there a risk that the building could default because they don't have enough money?
No, I don't think so. I think they're just being cautious. I know their board, both up in Ithaca and the medical board here, is 1,000% behind this project. You know, they are a very big university like we are.
So they have deeper pockets.
Exactly.
Very.
And, you know,
most of their money is philanthropy. I mean,
from where we began with Weill Cornell to where we're ending up now, it has been a very cohesive and I don't want to say easy, because no negotiation is easy, but they have been very accommodating of CUNY's needs, both legally and physically. So it has been really a pleasure to really work with them on this.
And this is groundbreaking. They do not get into these kind of relationships. I mean, they sort this out, but it works for us and it works for them, and you know, it's very interesting. So,
Can you just tell me what the lab is going to focus on? What kind of a lab is it?
it's primarily going to be biology. They mostly, all this stuff at the molecular level kind of melds together these days, but it's more molecular science for fundamentally biology. So some physics, I mean, but it all kind of, whether they call themselves molecular biologist or cell biologist or whatever, it's all kind of,
It's part of the STEM revolution.
it's all part of the STEM revolution. That's really
Absolutely.
true, and that's why it,
That's
the
why we should be
integration
involved.
of those
Yeah.
researchers is terrific. I mean, it, you know, it really does.
Is that what their focus is on the other floors as well?
They have some cancer stuff. They have some basic science, and yeah, they have other floors. And there are 3 floors that they haven't figured out how they're going to use yet. So,
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on this? Can we get a motion to move
So
this?
moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? That's all of the action items. I'll my last piece of the report after we have the executive director's report.
Sure.
Don't talk.
I think as you can see from this agenda, we're very busy.
Yes.
And there's a lot going on.
Very impressive.
Let me just say that there are a number of projects which are in the final stages of completion, and there are a number of projects where we're making tremendous progress. The Hunter School of Social Work will be, and Public Health will be opening in September, and that was our very successful public-private partnership. And I just want to point out to this board that, as you know, a portion of the land was given to the Graduate Center, and we built a dorm there, a dormitory. And we just found out from the Graduate Center, right, Don, that they have leased up,
88 of the 98 beds.
have already been leased up, which in the world that Don and I live in, where we always look at these numbers, that's a pretty good, to have that
At this
number in
point,
June
yeah,
is
for September.
is pretty great. And it's also great because now we're gonna have graduate students and faculty. There are 10 faculty.
12 faculty
12
apartments.
faculty apartments who'll be living in East Harlem and can also avail themselves of the social work building as well. If they need a library, they need a computer, they'll be able to go there and use
So
that.
That's 119th Street and Third Avenue.
Third Avenue, yes. And as I said.
There's a lot more construction going on in that area.
It's booming
Lots.
up there.
Yeah.
And the dorm already has the TCO, and we are hopeful that in the next couple of weeks, the
just
actual-
finalizing the paperwork for
that we'll get the
school social
TCO
work.
for the School of Social Work, and our goal is that the faculty will move in over the summer, and then for the fall term, it will begin. I just also want to note to this
I'm
board
sorry,
that.
can I just say, will there be like an opening?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Bells, whistles,
Yeah.
carnival life,
Okay.
it'll be great.
Firecrackers?
Firecrackers, you got it, elephants, whatever, we'll, you know.
Yeah, that needs to be a really big deal.
And it's quite, it's really a spectacular building, and
If
it's a great
there's a way,
addition up there.
yeah, if there's a way that you can make sure, like, I know sometimes all of the trustees can't get to all of the grand openings, but this is one I think that the trustees should be at. And so if there's a way that
Sure.
we can get the schedule in advance as opposed to later, sooner rather than later. I know
As
it's
soon as we
difficult,
know.
but just tell them that that's what we want.
Yeah.
Just a couple of other projects, Fitterman Hall, for those who are in Lower Manhattan, if you walk by the building now, the brick is up, they're starting to put the windows in. It's
With
really
glasses
beginning
on.
to look like the artist rendering of the building, and the project is going very well. And we are on schedule to open that, not this September, but the following September. It actually, when you're down there, it looks different than the other buildings, but that's okay because it's a college and it's an academic building. It's not an office building, but it is making tremendous progress. At Lehman, our new science building is also proceeding, and again, the skin is going up on the building and it's taking form, and it really looks terrific. And the last project that really is going to change, or has already changed the campus, is the North Instructional Building at Bronx Community College. That building is moving along, the skin is up, they're doing all the interior work, and I just want to point out to this board, as you know, Carolyn Williams has retired as the president, and the full CUNY board will be acknowledging her 15 years of service. The main commons will be named for her. It will be called the Carolyn Williams Reading Room. So,
And there's one other building that you want to talk about, which is right behind us.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say that for
Okay, all
last.
right.
And anyway, so we're very pleased that the board will be recognizing Carolyn's hard work that she put in, and I have to say this building would not have happened without her stick-to-itiveness to make sure it did. And the last project is the John Jay Building, which Bob and I walked through this week. It is, I have to just say, it's just a spectacular space. It is really, it's very much an urban campus. From the outside, you cannot really even appreciate what is going in. But I think what we have to keep in mind is that the building is about 640,000 square feet. It's about 330,000 square feet of classrooms and labs and moot courts, but a big portion of the space is for student use and for open space. And so you don't have this feeling that it's sort of this cramped quarters. It is just spectacular in terms of the space that we've created for our students. And I'm pleased to say that, you know, we put back into the project the green roof and the commons that's going to go on top of that roof, and it's just going to be a great addition for the students who really do not have a campus now, to really have a place where they don't feel like they just have to come to their class and leave. There'll be a lot of opportunity and a lot of space for students to
Also, a
congregate.
great addition to the community. I mean, frankly, the rooftop space is really beautiful for a place that there is not a lot of open space to look at.
It'll look like a park.
It looks very much like a park. And the thing that's going to be spectacular about this whole building, as Iris said, is that the student use, we emphasized stairs and seating stairs, so there are places that students are going to be sitting and congregating all over this building. I mean, on the plaza on the 5th floor. Inside the building, I mean, there are some grand staircases that are staircases for sitting as well as for walking up and down.
And, you know, something that we have been doing in our buildings, which I think is a positive thing from a health point of view, is we've been creating these grand stairs, you know, not really hiding, but putting the escalators and the elevators over to the side so that students, faculty, and people who come into the building are encouraged and really want to use these stairs to get around the building. So, and in this John Jay Building, unlike what we did at Baruch, at the vertical campus.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we did not value engineer out elevators or escalators. There's more than enough capacity if people choose to avail themselves of that. And just one last project, CUNY Law, which was our other very successful public-private partnership. We have just gotten back the bids for the construction work, and Jeff and Bob are going through those numbers. We believe that we can very soon award the contract to a firm, and we will be heavy into construction probably late summer, early fall on that project. So there's a lot going on, and I hope I didn't steal all of Mike's thunder here.
That's okay. As Executive Director Weinschel said, it's really a very exciting time, and there's an awful lot going on that we all will be very proud of, I think, in a year to come. I guess what I'll do is I'll talk about, since there seemed to be a lot of emphasis on the energy, just to highlight some of the stuff we're doing now, even though I'm doing this extemp, but we finished a lot of upgrades at City College's Central Plant.
You might have to talk a little louder.
Yes. You guys hear me? Hey, Zach. Can you hear me? Yeah, I guess so.
Slight delay.
Okay. And just for your information, all of the new plant upgrades that we're doing are dual fuel installations. That is natural gas and number 2 oil, no number 6. And it's primarily natural gas, so it's cleaner burning. It's also less expensive, and we do it with pretty much just every single new central plant renovation that we're doing it that way. The City College upgrade on the boiler side has been completed. We're doing the chiller side is in design right now, and we should be starting that later this year. And on the chiller side, the cooling side, we tend to be doing hybrid plants so that we're using both steam energy to drive the chillers and also electric energy. And this way you can reduce your costs, because when you peak on your electric load, you can use your steam generated power to power your chillers. We have Lehman College's central plant is presently in design. That'll be both upgrades on boilers and chillers. Kingsborough's central plant on the boilers is pretty much completed design just now. So there's some plan to do that as soon as we get the funding plan on the community colleges approved. We're also doing a large photovoltaic installation at LaGuardia Community College. It's probably one of the largest, if not the largest, in New York City.
BMCC.
Yeah, well, there's one at BMCC, but the LaGuardia one's.
You want to explain that one?
Yeah.
You want to explain the photovoltaic?
Yeah, photovoltaic, the idea of photovoltaic is you take sunlight and rather than just warm something, you create electric directly from sunlight. You use photovoltaic cells, you create electric. And then what you do is you can use that electric for your building. And then if you have any spare capacity, you can put it back into the grid. So what you do is that you're kind of sharing electric. So obviously, we're not going to put in enough solar voltaics to power Center 3 at LaGuardia. It's a huge building. But if you ever had a situation where if you had a smaller building and a large installation, you could actually, if you had excess capacity, you could put it back into the grid.
The only thing about photovoltaic is you, of course, need to put it someplace where you don't have shadows on that roof. So BMCC and LaGuardia have very large roofs. On BMCC, there's nothing with the river on the west side, and LaGuardia is very high as you come into Queens there. So
Those are more long-term investments, I suspect.
Yeah, right now they're really, it's not economical.
Yeah.
You need to have some grant money. NYSERDA is involved with the one on LaGuardia, and so is Con Ed, actually. So it's kind of a joint venture in how that's funded. And we have, there's probably about 20 different we call them energy performance contract type projects that are presently being done. Some at the building level, most at the central plant level where you get the biggest bang for the buck. And like the one at BMCC where we're doing all essential services pretty much.
Can steam operate cooling systems by itself?
Sure. There's something
Because
called an
blackout.
absorption chillers, where you put steam directly into the chiller. It's converted by a chemical process into cooling. So you can do that. It's less efficient than steam-driven turbines, but it's been used many, many years. And I think that's it.
No, that's good. Is it possible that maybe sometime next, when we convene again after September, that we get a report on some of the things we're doing around energy conservation
Absolutely.
and all that, and with pictures?
Sure. Absolutely, no problem.
That would be good. It's good work that you're doing.
Mr. Chairman, just one more
Of
thing.
course.
We were contacted last week by the building owners, which is everybody around the table knows, it's all the big contractors, and they are concerned about, keeping construction going in New York and the big developments. Dick Anderson asked us to be part of a new committee at the Building Congress having to do with higher education facilities. So it's us, it's NYU, Columbia, and Fordham who are going to be on this committee. And they're having a lunch at the end of June, and they've asked CUNY to make a presentation. So I will be making a presentation about our vast program. And I know this board has heard me say it over and over again, and I think the construction industry has finally woken up and realized this, that, after the MTA and after it's CUNY, we've got 2 million square feet under construction. We're spending, hundreds of millions of dollars on construction, and I think that the industry has now woken up and seen, we're part of the economic engine that's keeping things going.
That's great. No, thank you very much. And what I want, we will probably meet again in well, August if we have to, probably it's gonna be September, unless there's something.
Most likely September.
Yeah, but the one thing that I want to say is that we have done quite a bit of work under your leadership this year. And, I mean, astounding projects, those who have been associated with the fund for a while, and those of you who are working on it, the volume, the sheer volume of stuff and the magnitude of what we've been doing is just outstanding when you sort of look at it in retrospect. So, you know, we definitely appreciate the partnership that we have with DASNY, you know, in carrying these things out, and Mike, and you should definitely know that. And we just want to, from the board standpoint, on behalf of the board, I'd just like to commend you and all of your team for the hard work that you're doing. You make it look easy. It's not. You are efficient with it, and you ensure that it's seamless. And it's just an astounding work that you're doing that none of us should take for granted. It helps to fulfill the decade of the science and the mission of our organization.
Thank you.
So we really feel like we're partners with you in this. And speaking of partners and success, there was an MBE conference, and there are some extra bags that we have for those who would like to avail themselves of this very fine black bag that you can
Those are
carry to
great.
the beach.
They're at the
Yeah, take it to the supermarket. So
Anymore, right?
it's right over where Nancy,
the reception desk.
right over there.
Up at the front desk.
Thank you very much, and enjoy this, the rest of the weather. Really wish you and all of your family a really, very, very happy summer, a very safe one and prosperous one, and look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.
I was on the, still in the middle.